So magic's all about essentially social engineering, and it's putting people into a place where you're essentially manipulating their reality. They are very much two distinct characters. So Magic Martin is, the majority of my life. Well, that being said, my favourite quote is "Go big or go home," because I think for me, I've always loved pushing myself to the extreme with things, and especially with the Guinness World Records.
I'm Farah Shammas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Welcome back, everyone. And we have a great episode coming up, and really the whole point of Hotel Talk. So this gentleman I met yesterday not at our hotel, at Park Lane Hotel here in Limassol, at a very amazing event that was organised by some dear friends. And it was all organised by JBL, which is the audio company. And I met an amazing magician that was hired from the UK to come to Cyprus and perform magic. Martin Rees, thank you so much for being a part of Hotel Talk.
Thank you for having me.
And I was just amazed at what you were doing and what you were saying. And I remember saying last night, that's it, stop. You've got to be on the podcast and come and tell us all. So tell us a little bit about you, Martin. Give us an intro and how you got into magic.
So I have been into magic since I was 4. I got my first magic set on Christmas Day when I was 4 years old, and that's what gave me the first magic bug. And then
What magic was it? My brother had, what was it? The Paul
Daniels, yeah.
Paul Daniels, was it?
Yeah.
Probably was the same set every kid had.
Yeah, literally. I think it's a rite of passage as a kid to have certainly at that time, to have a Paul Daniels magic set. But I was one of the sad ones that stuck with it and didn't put it down. So I did my first gig when I was 12. And then I grew up in Weymouth, which is in Dorset, on the south coast of England.
My mum's from Hampshire, so
of course, yeah. So I grew up there, and then did my education, and then moved to London, and started just doing my thing up there, and then in 2015 I started working with a children's charity called Spread a Smile, who provide entertainment for kids going through treatment in a hospital. And that inspired me to do the Guinness World Records I hold. So I've got 6 Guinness World Records now.
6? Wow, I thought 4.
Yeah, 6. So
that's amazing.
Most magic on a skydive, most magic underwater in 3 minutes. Did most magic blindfolded in 1 minute. And each record's kind of opened up the door to another one. And my current project is doing magic in space. So it's all a bit crazy.
Amazing. So, but what was it then about magic that intrigues you? I mean, okay, all 4, 5, 6-year-olds are like, wow, but then everybody kind of goes off and does something else.
I think for me, the thing with magic was the feeling it gives you when you see it, and when you see a proper magician do a decent job. That's the thing. It's the feeling and the moment you create with someone, really. And I think from a young age, I was just so enchanted by the way that, by magic in general, and just the way it made me feel. And I was like, I want to be able to give that to other people. So I suppose that's kind of really where it came from. Or what. And
then how did you get involved with charities? Because, a lot of people have their jobs and careers and they're not always passion, and it's an ends to mean, and it's a paycheck. But in your case, I mean, by being involved, and maybe it even sprung out of
definitely. I mean,
doing it for charity. So tell us about that.
So when I first moved to London, I was doing a lot of big events. I was doing a lot of stuff for the BBC and loads of kind of really great corporate stuff. But I just felt something was missing, and it wasn't really hitting the mark in myself in what I was looking for really when I was growing up. And then one day I got contacted by someone who said, "Oh, we've heard you're really good at what you do. Would you be interested in coming and working for us?" So this is the charity, and they were in their infancy at the time, so they were kind of still taking on initial entertainers and things. And my first day at Great Ormond Street Hospital in London was literally it was a life-changing moment for me, because I had to go and see this little 2-year-old girl who was being treated for cancer, and that particular week she'd been really down, wouldn't engage with anyone, and also she was in isolation, which meant I couldn't use any of my normal magic stuff. So I was like, I'll give it a go. I can't guarantee that she's going to engage though. So I went in, and her dad was in there.
So just to explain a bit more. So she was in isolation, meaning you couldn't let her touch anything?
Yeah. So it's contact precaution. So it meant I couldn't take in my stuff and get her to touch the cards and things because she had to, because everything had to be essentially sterilised. So I said to her dad, have you got a coin? And he gave me a 10p. And I went over to her bed and I said, hold your hand out. And then I made the coin vanish into her hand. And I said, it goes from your hand to your wrist, to your elbow, to your shoulder, to your head. And I made it travel around and drop out of her other hand. And you could see on her face, she was like, what just happened there? So I was like, I'll do it again. So they made it come out of her ear and her nose, and then made it come out of her knee and her foot. And then when I made it come out of her foot, she actually sat up and looked at her foot. So I thought, oh, great, she's engaging now. Let's get the dad involved. So I was like, make it disappear again. I'll give your dad a high five. I'll go to your dad's arm and comes out your dad's ear and your dad's nose. And literally just did this for 15 minutes, just making this coin disappear and reappear in different ways. And over that time, she just came to life. And first she sat up, and then she stood up. And then by the end, she was cheering and clapping every time the coin reappeared. And the dad turned around and was like, I can't believe the transformation you just made with a 10p and a bit of imagination, because we've tried everything to get her to engage. And I haven't seen her laugh like that in months. And it was just a really profound moment for me, because I think up until that point as well, I'd always thought, magic was about, look how clever I am. Look how, good I am at doing what I do. But in that moment, it made me realise that magic's not about me, and it's not about what I do. It's about the person and what they go through and what they experience. So it was really
I guess everybody views it in a different way according to what they're going through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also the way that it's presented as well, because sometimes I'll do a piece of magic, for instance, and, people react great to it, but then I'll do it and it just hits that right mark, and it just hits that moment which really connects with that person. And that's the thing, we generally, people very rarely actually see magic properly up close. So when you do, it's something that stays with you. And during the pandemic, I've been doing all my magic online. And in the early days, I had I did a birthday party for this woman who was 100 years old. I used to hit 100-year birthday, and they did a Zoom call for her. And as part of the call, I said, have any of you ever seen magic up close before? And she was able to recall when she first met her husband, and she told the whole story about they were 18 and they were in a restaurant, and this magician came over and did linking rings, and it was just beautiful because that's across literally a whole lifetime that she's held this memory. And it's that's why I love what I do, because it's
amazing. So how did you learn it? I mean, because it's one thing to start off with a Paul Daniels set, and it's another thing. I saw some of the things you were doing yesterday, and I have to explain to the audience. Martin took my phone, covered the camera so it couldn't do the face recognition, and I have a 6-digit passcode, and I don't want to say guessed, but worked out the numbers, and I was deliberately looking at other numbers. I was deliberately
trying to throw me off,
and yet they were all. It was insane. So how did you learn?
It's a lot. I had a magic mentor growing up who kind of that's the thing. I had an interest in magic, but then when I met David, who was my mentor, he basically taught me the kind of more advanced stuff, and then once he taught me the basics, I then just went off and either learnt from other magicians or came up with my own ideas for different routines and sequences, and just kind of I always say that
it's a lot of practice.
It is a lot of practice. I always say learning magic is like learning the piano. You've got lots of keys, and anyone can touch the keys. Anyone can play chopsticks on a piano. Some people can play a song, some people can play a symphony, and it's the same with magic. Some people can learn a quick trick, some people can learn a couple of routines, or dedicate time to it and learn a repertoire of stuff. So it's a lot of practice.
So going back to an example of the trick that you did on me last night. I mean, and I said this yesterday, there's a fine line between that or presenting it as magic and someone else presenting that as being a clairvoyant. Or, so where do we draw the line? What's maybe the grey area in between, and what should we maybe be cautious
be wary of? 100%. Because so magic's all about essentially social engineering, and it's putting people into a place where you're essentially manipulating their reality.
And profiling them, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it depends on what kind of thing I'm doing. So if I'm doing like a card trick, for instance, then it's not so much on the person, it's more so on me, because it's on me to get the trick right. But then if I'm doing, for instance, like guessing your passcode, it's one of those things I get or I don't get. And it's purely down to what, if I can pick up the certain things that if I can pick up the certain things from the person that I need in order to extract the information, or so it's either extracting information from their brain or putting information in their brain in a way that they don't realize.
So the way you ask the question, the way you
we've certain language patterns as well, and that's the difference. But the difference is between, for instance, me and someone who's a clairvoyant is that they use all the same tricks that I do, except they profess that what they do is genuine and they're doing it genuinely. Whereas, as a magician, I'm happy to say that what I do is a trick, but but then that's the thing. What I do is the trick. What the person experiences is the magic. So there's a clear distinction between the two.
Although I have met people who, profess to have the gift, let's say, and but they also admit that it took years of training and kind of developing that skill, and maybe they were born with. Who knows? It's a big
I think, like, from my perspective, like I very much was into the paranormal when I was growing up, but there's never been anything that I've seen or any person I've met or any experience I've had where I can actually truly say that was beyond normal. And I think that's the thing. And I mean, do you know what? Each to their own. If someone wants to say that they have these genuine abilities, then that's their choice. But I prefer to just embrace the entertainment aspect of it, really. And
amazing. So you've got 6 Guinness Book records, and you've got other plans.
Yes.
Which the next one is space, you said.
Yes.
And you have more planned after that? I mean, is this a...
so Magic in Space is essentially... So I started doing the Guinness World Records in like 2015 after starting with the charity. So it's... and I'm now 35. So Magic in Space is essentially my 5-year legacy project that I'm now doing. Because after that, I want to settle down and have a family. This is essentially my big... hoo-ha, really. So as part of Magic in Space, there's 4 stunts that I'm looking to do as part of that. So
and you're literally going to go up into space?
Hopefully, yeah. So basically, I want to do this as a means to inspire kids to pursue their dreams, because that's what I did as a kid. I just followed my dream essentially, and now I get to live my dream job on a daily basis and come to amazing places like this, and meet incredible people like yourself.
Thank you.
But
so, what would you say to kids who are listening? What would your message be to children?
I suppose my message would be, don't put pressure on yourself to think that you need to know now what you're going to do for the rest of your life, because things change every month, every year.
Every day.
Exactly, every day. And I think especially in this day and age, there's a lot of pressure on kids to, know what they want or have an idea of what.
I think there's a lot of pressure on adults, know your purpose and what are you doing. And sometimes it's like, no, I just want to be.
Exactly. I mean, with as an example, with the Guinness World Records, I never intended to do as many as I've got, but it's just that every time the opportunity presented itself, or someone said to me, "Why don't you do this?" I just said yes.
You grabbed it.
Yeah. And I think that's also another piece of advice is just never kind of instantly say no to stuff. Always push yourself out of your comfort zone, because every time you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you grow as a person and you develop as a person. And I've grown and developed so much through each of the records that I've done. And that's the thing, like doing Magic in Space is such an impossible task, especially because I'm not looking to do it by Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos. I'm looking to do it on a balloon by myself, because essentially, if I can do that and if I can get myself to space literally off my own back, then literally anyone can do anything if they put the mind to it. So
it's quite dangerous, though.
Yes, there's obviously a high level of risk to it. I will say, with everything that I do, I'm very, very methodical with my process, and that's the thing. It's essentially a process.
Yeah.
So and also the other thing as well is I surround myself with industry experts. So I've actually got a space consultant on board, who is one of the only people who's actually already done Magic in Space on the International Space Station. So I kind of surround myself with people who know what they do expertly, and so I can tap into their knowledge base to make sure that when it comes to it, it's as safe as possible, certainly.
So interesting. So I have another question for you. Everything you've learned, is quite people-centric. So it's about people's reactions, people's thought process, profiling different people, understanding different people. How has all of that helped you in your daily life, and how can it maybe help others?
Excuse me. So I'd say, certainly from my perspective, it helps in the sense of, because it's a very front-facing job where I'm interacting with strangers, it means I don't have that anxiety that people get when you're meeting people necessarily for the first time, or if you're thrown into a situation. I think that's the biggest thing, is right from a very early age, I always put myself in really, what I felt were really kind of, not difficult situations, but just things where you really are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, or you're really having to overcome that initial anxiety and nerve of it. And the more you do it, the more essentially you just become used to it. And so now it's great, because in any social situation, I can not only spark up a conversation, but also make it engaging in a way that, allows people to remember you, and you stick in their mind and play on their mind. So
I love that. Yeah, you only get one time to make a first impression.
Exactly.
And it's so important how people present, how you make others feel.
Exactly. And I think especially with magic as well, because certainly in England, there's not a negative kind of mindset towards it, but just people have a preconceived idea of what they're going to see before. Like when I say I'm a magician, like they have an idea of what I'm going to do before I've done it. And the biggest thing as well is that a lot of magicians, unfortunately, are stereotypical, sleazy, come out with the like creepy lines and like just do things which conform to the public's idea of what stereotypical magician is. So that's for me the biggest challenge when I start doing my thing, is overcoming that initial not skepticism, but I can't think of the word.
It's like barrier.
Initial barrier. And that's the thing, I like to, kind of try and break through that as quickly as possible, because then once you get past that, and I think that's the thing, once people see that I'm not a sleazy magician, have a bit of a joke with them, have a bit of a laugh, and just approach it in a more relaxed way, then that's it. It's nice, because I love watching that change in people when they go from kind of thinking they know better to actually just accepting that everyone's entitled to be a little kid at times.
And connect with the inner child. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where do you draw the line between your real self and then the magician?
So right, they are very much two distinct characters. So Magic Martin is the majority of my life, in fairness, because just in general, like whenever I'm out or like on a job, I'm always on, like in work mode essentially. So for me, kind of dedicating time to just Martin is something that, to be honest with you, I've neglected over the last few years in particular. It's only actually been this year, and ironically, while working on Magic in Space, that I've been spending a lot more time on myself. So I've started doing ice baths, been doing meditation, been doing yoga as well, and been a lot more mindful with myself and how I treat myself. I think, that's the thing, like Martin is always there. It's just Magic Martin kind of tends to supersede. But it's nice that, now we're certainly I'm giving Martin more time to just be mine.
Because it is quite interesting, because I think many people are drawn into like this showman's life, the actor's life, but to kind of put on a facade that maybe is easier to cope with than sometimes being massively. Our raw selves.
Yeah, massively. And I think...
And then we can get lost in that.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. It's so easy for me to get lost in Magic Martin. And it's funny because Martin generally is very quiet and doesn't like to socialise.
That's what I was going to say. Probably like the introvert turning extrovert.
Yeah, complete polar opposites. So I think that's the thing. I think because I've always kind of, like I said, been working as Magic Martin and doing Magic Martin things, like sometimes when I come to actually spend time on my own, it takes me a while to decompress and just, unwind. Even going on holiday, like I find going on holiday really stressful, because like for me, in my Magic Martin's going, but if you're on holiday, you're not going to be earning money, or you're not generating business, or or this, and then so it's really, really stressful up until I go. But then as soon as I'm there and I've kind of led down on the beach or on a lounger, then that's when might go, oh, actually, no, this is really nice. So.
Yeah, I think it's also the guilt, isn't it, that applies to so many people nowadays. We should be working, we should be performing, we should be
exactly,
earning, we should be giving back. And then actually one of the most important things is to find that inner peace and give yourself time.
Completely. And I think that's the thing, because also just in general, especially in corporate jobs as well, people are put under so much pressure. And that's the thing, you work your absolute backside off to earn loads of money in life, and then you end up invariably spending that money to help you to treat yourself, because you've worked yourself into the ground. And the money you've earned is then spent on your health. So
that was one of my dad actually used to say this story. I think it's an Arabic story of somebody sitting under a tree relaxing, and then somebody walks past and he says, what are you doing here? And let's say, I don't know, it's an apple tree. He says, I'm sitting here, I'm in the shade, I can sleep, I have my siestas. He says, but this is an amazing apple tree. Like, it's amazing. Why don't you plant another? And he goes, and then what will I do? Then you take the seeds and you plant another and you make a whole orchard. And he goes, and then what will you do? Well, you'll sell them. And he goes, and then what will you do? What will I do? And he says, well, then you'll sell them to the people passing, you'll make money. And then what do I do? And then you start exporting and you can build an empire. And then what do I do? And he goes, and then you take the money and you relax. And the guy says, but I'm relaxing now.
Yeah, exactly. We
go the whole circle just to get back to... Yeah. So there we go. So I just said one, but what's your favourite quote?
Well, that being said, my favourite quote is "Go big or go home," because I think for me, I've always loved pushing myself to the extreme with things, and especially with the Guinness World Records, so most magic on a skydive was the.
And are you a skydiver, or did you just do it for this?
Yeah, literally
wow,
just did it for that.
So that is massively going out of a comfort zone.
Yeah, massively. And likewise with Magic in Space. So as part of Magic in Space, I want to break the current Guinness World Record for the highest escape from a straitjacket. So the current altitude is 7,200 feet, and I want to go up to 10,000 feet on a hot air balloon, essentially suspend myself below the basket, escape from the straitjacket, and get back into the basket, put a parachute on, and then skydive back down to the ground. Now, I am not an escapologist, so I've had to learn how to escape from a straitjacket. Plus also, although I've done most magic on a skydive, I'm not a qualified skydiver myself, so I'm currently going through training to do that as well. And it's, I think, kind of just one of those things where, I always like pushing myself to the extreme with it, because, the more you push yourself, the more, like I said, you grow, you develop, and the more you learn and the more you network and meet people. And
I'm quite intrigued. Where does that come from? That need, that will, that want to push yourself?
To be honest with you, the biggest thing more than anything, and the thing that I remind myself every day, is just how lucky we are to be here, because doing the stuff in the hospitals for the kids, and I work with quite a few kids who sadly ended up coming to the end of their life. And so I think it just made me realise just how precious life is, and how much people don't really tend to seize the opportunities that are presented. And I think that's the thing, that every day I just feel lucky to be here, and just want to maximize my time really, and just try and experience as much of life as possible. So
it's amazing, really. It's amazing and very touching. And I think a lot of people listening would not be able to do it, would not be able to be surrounded by that pain, even if there's hope, but to see that suffering at a human level, especially with children, and then know that some of those children are not going to make it. How do you do it? How do you protect yourself as well from not taking that?
Carrying it. I mean, I suppose
forever.
It's like anyway. So my brother was a paramedic, both of my parents with the NHS. So I think kind of naturally we're kind of caring family anyway.
Yeah.
And I think from my perspective, especially in the hospitals, I kind of protect myself by just reminding myself that it's not just for the kids, it's for the parents. Because like I said, magic's about creating a memory. And as soon as I go into a room, all I want to do is make that kid laugh and smile and joke around as much as possible, and just treat them like any other kid, really.
Yeah.
Because especially
and that snippet of feeling normal,
exactly,
and feeling loved and appreciated and seen.
Exactly. And I think, for me, the most magical moments that I've ever experienced, like proper real, what I would say is real magic, have happened in the hospitals or happened, with families who are going through a very difficult time in their lives. And for me, I get the comfort and the security of knowing that it makes a big difference for them with just having this moment to be able to joke around and especially see their kids smile and laugh in a way that maybe they haven't done in a while. That for me is just worth everything really.
Everything you've learned.
And then, I mean, it is like sometimes hard. I mean, like there was one or two kids who, because I've been working with them for so long, I grew really like close with the families and things. And then obviously when they pass, you've got to go through that kind of grief almost. But I think, I take solace in knowing that what I do makes a difference. And so even though it will be hard at times, at the same time,
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it for the memories that it creates.
Martin, that's amazing. Right, this is a bonus question.
Okay.
So I don't know what question this is. A lot of our staff have put questions together, and on our 1-year Hotel Talk anniversary party, we let some of the ex-interviewees also write some questions. So pick anyone, and I'll read it to you.
Okay.
And let's see what they've asked. Oh, okay. So this is from Fanny, who's in our spa team, and she asked...
Hi, Fanny.
How easy is it to manage your company or manage what you do? How easy?
Okay. I have to say, from my perspective, I'm lucky in the sense that I have had, like, when I do the big projects, I have a team with me who I manage, and... Yeah, it's...
I was going to ask, do you work then with more people?
Yeah, it depends on... Yeah, if I'm working on one of the projects...
Do you have a leotarded, beautiful lady that's
do you know what?
next to you?
Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have my Debbie McGee.
You don't have Debbie?
But I think for me, like, because what I do is my love and my passion, when it comes to the business side, I'm a bit rubbish sometimes, and I forget that.
I think the Debbies, not so important anymore.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. I think also, like, the magic world's changing, so there's so many incredible female magicians who are absolutely smashing it now, and it's nice because I think that's the thing, that stereotypical magician's assistant kind of thing is. I mean, well, there's still loads of magicians out there that will have assistants with what they do. I think for me, I like the magic to speak for itself, and in that respect. But I think kind of as a business and running the business, it's taken me a while to get my head fully around it and do it in a way where especially during the pandemic as well, because obviously for a lot of people they were out of work, but for me the pandemic changed my life in a positive way because I was doing all my magic on Airbnb, or Airbnb do experiences as well as events.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was doing Secrets of Magic in King's Cross Station before the pandemic, and then just so happened to put myself in the right place at the right time with Airbnb, so that I was one of the first people globally to do a show online when the pandemic hit. And I've done nearly 3,000 shows now to companies and teams and groups across the world.
So you do that to the employees or to the the users? Let's say.
So for instance, during the pandemic, it was a lot more like families who would meet like remotely and have a remote like kind of party. For instance.
Over Zoom.
Yeah, over Zoom, and that's it. So I do all the shows on Zoom. But these days, it's more so for the corporate teams who are remote or working virtually, and it gives them a chance to just have a bit of fun together. But in the virtual context.
That's so nice. Yes, it's true. I mean, I think for a lot of people, the pandemic, as hard as it was, I think did highlight many things that we've got to be grateful for. And many people came out of the pandemic better, often more appreciative, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I love that. Martin, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have met you. I'm so grateful to the hotel industry for bringing people together all the time, everywhere in the world. Hope to see you again soon in Cyprus. I hope you've enjoyed Cyprus. Is it your first time?
Yeah, it's my first time. Absolutely loved it. But before we finish up, do you and the listeners want to see a quick trick?
I'd love to. So we've got people who are going to listen to this and people who are going to watch.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
Also on audio? Yeah. It's okay? Let's do it.
On audio is absolutely fine, because I want all of you right now, if you're at home and you're listening to this and you are able to grab your mobile phone. And in fact, can you grab your phone?
Okay, right, here we go. I've got my mobile phone.
I want everyone right now, to open up your calculators on your phone for me. because we're going to do this all together right
Okay.
now.
We
Once
put it on
you've
0. There we
opened up your
go.
calculator. Okay, perfect. So I am going to, firstly, Farah, I'm going to write down a quick prediction. Can I use this?
You can definitely use that.
Okay.
And I can't see.
I am going to write down a quick prediction on here.
Do we need an assistant? Shall I get
No,
Christos
that's all good.
into the... It's there. Okay.
Right. That's there.
All right.
Okay.
And I cannot see everyone what is written on that
So I've
paper.
turned that face down right now. So I've written down a little prediction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On your calculators right now, we're going to come up with a big random number together. Okay. So firstly, Farah, I want you to give me... I tell you what, first we're going to work out your birth number. Now, I define a birth number as being the day you were born, multiplied by the month, multiplied by the year. Now, I do appreciate it's rude to ask a lady her age, Farah, so you can give us a false date of birth or your actual date of birth.
No, I'm good. So
But what day of the month would you say you were born?
30th.
30th. So
Yeah.
all of you on your calculators type in 30
Okay.
and then hit multiply for me.
Okay.
What month would you say you were born?
So March. So do
March,
I put
that's it.
03 or
Or just
no,
three?
3? It's the same.
That's it. And then hit multiply again. And what year would you say you were born?
1980.
1980. So all of you type in 1980 and then press equals. So based on the 30th of March 1980, your birth number is 178,200.
Yes.
Okay? Hopefully everyone at home has that number as well. Hit multiply again for me. This time, give me any 4 random digits.
4572.
4572. Okay, so hit multiply, type in 4572, press
Okay.
equals again. Okay, so now we've got an even bigger number. So it's 814,730,400. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to completely randomize it this time. So rather than, and also because we've gone into the hundreds of millions as well,
Yeah.
this time on your phones, rather than hitting multiply, press plus instead. And also we're going to randomize it. So I'm going to turn the phone upside down, Farah. I want you to just tap randomly 9 times for me. Okay. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So
And guys, I just tapped it in different
just
areas.
randomly places on the keypad. So I want you all right now, once you've pressed plus, to put in the number that Farah has just come up with, which is 154,979,164. Okay.
Okay.
And then one
Equals?
last time, press equals. Okay. So your number you've come up with today, Farah, is boom. 969,709,564. Okay, you have that number as well
Yeah,
on your
I do,
calculator.
yeah.
Hopefully everyone at home, if you're following along, you will have that number as well right now.
Okay, yeah.
Now, before we started, okay, bear in mind this is made up from your birth number multiplied
Yeah.
by the random numbers you gave us for your PIN
Yeah.
and the random numbers you just tapped on the calculator, okay?
Yeah.
Before we started, I wrote down something on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
Just so happens I wrote down a number, which is
No way.
969,709,564. Farah, can you confirm
Wow,
that
I can't
number is-
believe it, guys. Here it is. So there we go. 9. Yeah, it's here.
There we go.
969,709,564. I can't believe it.
And there we go.
And there we go. I love that. Okay, guys, I hope you had fun with that one. Martin, thank you so much. It's
Thank you
really
so
been a
much for having me on.
pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure.
And
being
wishing
here,
you
so-
all the best. And we'll put your links in the show notes so people can find you in the UK and abroad. And especially you do online. It's amazing. So anywhere in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Guys, look up Martin. Thank you.
Thank you so
all
much
the
for having
best. I really hope that you've enjoyed listening to Hotel Talk and this episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it helps us more than you may realize. And also, if you have enjoyed any episode more than maybe another, do share that with as many friends as possible because whoever gets the most amount of downloads or likes after the first year, we will be donating 1,000 euros to a charity of their choice. So all your listens really help us. If you'd like to stay in touch, don't forget to hop along to St. Raphael Resort and Marina's website, join our Seahorse Club, and email the hotel anytime that you want to come and stay, quoting Hotel Talk to receive an exclusive offer just for you as our valued listener. So thanks once again, and here's to many more amazing episodes with you, our listener, in mind.